गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ॐ श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं चर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यं। ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवि वचक्षुराततम्। ॐ श्लीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। Can everybody say Hare Ramakrishna after me 3 times? Om Hare Ramakrishna, Hare Ramakrishna, Hare Ramakrishna. So as far as BPHS is concerned, where are we?
13. Chapter 5, 13.
Chapter 16, right?
Chapter 16, 5th house.
Huh?
5th house.
Yeah, 5th house.
Chapter 5 is the 5th house.
Okay. Verse 16?
No, 13.
13, okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. So we are in chapter 16 in Santanam's version, verse 13. Sute se chandra samyukte तद्रष्काणगते पिवा तदा हि कञ्जकोत्पत्तिः प्रवदेद्दैवचिन्तकः। सुते से चंद्र संयुक्ते means the fifth lord is with moon. Lord is with moon. तद्रष्काणगतो गते पिवा, तद्रष्काणगते पिवा means in the drashkana of that. Tad basically means that, or in that drashkana. Here we have to do a little bit of interpretation. It's not really very clear what he means. So he is saying fifth lord is either with moon or in that drashkana. So obviously he is talking about some drashkana associated with moon. It is very likely to mean a drashkana owned by moon. You could also interpret it as being with moon, but based on the sentence construction, my interpretation is not that. My interpretation is either with moon or in moon's drashkana. Cancer.
30 degrees.
Gate site se chandra samyukte tad drashkana gate piva. Not in the drashkana occupied by moon. Basically Cancer, occupying Cancer in the drashkana. Yeah. Right. Tadahi kanyakotpattihi pravade daivachintakaha. That means Tadahi kanyakotpattihi. Then a girl is born. So the combination is fifth lord should be with the moon, and he should be, or he should be in Cancer drashkana. The thing is, I will my take on this is take it with a pinch of salt. Just the fifth lord being in Cancer drashkana is not sufficient to give a daughter. Take it with a pinch of salt. The next one is Sute se. That's a good question. Why D3 he says? This again not at all clear, because he mentioned that siblings are to be seen in the Rakana. He mentioned that children are from Saptamsha. Children are from D7, Saptamsha. Why is he saying Drakana here? It's not at all clear. Yeah, but we are not talking about siblings. We are talking about birth of a daughter. So it has to be from Saptamsha rather than Drakana. That is why I am actually suspicious of this verse. The problem is there could be 1 or 2 verses here and there which were added by somebody just for fun. So take it with a pinch of salt. The next one. Sute se chara rashisthe rahuna sahite vidhau putrasthanam gate mande parajatam vadechishum. Okay. Sute se chara rashisthe means if the fifth lord is in, yes, chara rashi means a movable sign. He is in Aries, Cancer, Libra or Capricorn. one of the mobile signs. Rahuna sahite vidhau. Okay, and Rahuna means along with Rahu. Rahuna sahite vidhau. Let's see. This is also actually, you can interpret it in multiple ways. Let me see how he interpreted. If the fifth lord is in a mobile sign while Saturn is in the fifth, as Rahu is with moon, the child is of questionable. Okay, fine. This is how Santanam chooses to interpret. Now let me give my thinking. Sute se Charrasiste is unambiguous. Rahuna Sahite Vidho means Vidhi is with Rahu. Now what does he mean by Vidhi? Vidhi, one meaning of Vidhi is destiny, fate. Now he interpreted that to mean moon basically. That is questionable. I have to check the dictionary to see if one of the meanings of Vidhi is actually moon. But otherwise, if that is not the case, if Vidhi is not one of the names of moon, you want something that's close to fate, something that shows fate. You either take the ninth house, Bhagya, like you said, ninth house is the house of fortune, it is the house of your fate. And also Lagna itself is the root of your fate. So either Lagna or probably the ninth house of fate, fortune. My guess is we are talking about child here. And fifth and ninth houses are more important than Lagna. Fifth house is basically the house of children. So my guess is Rahuna Sahite Vidho basically means Rahu in the ninth house, basically aspecting the fifth house.
But one thing is
Yes.
general question.
Yes.
Why is the focus for the fifth house only is discussing all the verses related to children and
Actually, we haven't finished all the verses. There may be more verses
I know,
that deal with other aspects of the fifth house. If you look at previous chapters also, he did not really focus on all the aspects of the house. He just gave some important aspects. Typically, when you are dealing with the fifth house, if somebody comes to you, they come to you with children. Seventh house, they come to you with marriage. But the thing is, there are other aspects which he himself mentioned earlier. Other aspects of different houses.
each house he gave general.
He gave general list also before he went into detail on each house. This is just a guideline. If you know how to interpret children, you know how to interpret fame. For example, fifth house is also fame. And all the following that you enjoy in the world, which is kind of like children. If there is a big film star who has a lot of fans, they are kind of like children. Not exactly like children, but there is some similarity. Children follow you, they learn from you, and also the people who give you fame, they also follow you. So there is a common theme, and moreover, if you are intelligent, basically you can use this as a basis and then form your own guidelines for judging the other aspects. So, and also he will, hopefully if you go a little further, he will mention a couple of other things also relating to the fifth house. Now let's finish the combination. So the combination so far is fifth lord is in a mobile sign and Rahu is in ninth house. Putrasthanam gate mande, and fifth house contains Saturn. Putrasthanam gate mande parajatam vadechhushum. He says the child is of questionable birth. That is how he interprets. But literally parajatam vadechhushum means, shishu means child of the person. Parajatam means born to somebody else. So basically, if such a combination is present, the person may have a child belonging to somebody else. Basically, it may be an adoption, or it may be an affair of the spouse with somebody else, getting a child which is not basically the person. So there are different interpretations. But basically, what it literally means is the child that such a person gets is born to somebody else, is actually somebody else's child. So Saturn, who are the planets who dominate here? Of course, fifth house is the important house because it's the house of children. And Sute se Charrasiste. So fifth lord in a mobile sign is a key thing. So some transition, some changes basically relating to children are being shown by it. But by no means that is sufficient. That is a very, very minor condition. The major conditions are Saturn and Rahu's influence on the fifth house. Rahu in the ninth house of fortune aspecting the fifth house, and Saturn being in the fifth house. Those are the key.
Whose chart will this be? The husband or a wife's chart?
Typically, you would expect in a husband's chart. Could be in a wife's chart also. She may not beget a child. Basically, for example, if the husband, if they just adopt a child, whether it's husband or spouse doesn't really matter. And if you are talking about husband begetting child from another woman, for example, there may be a couple, and I mean, especially in the old days, there may be two wives, and one of the wives may have this combination in her chart. So he may beget the child from the other wife, but she may be actually taking care of the child. Or at the time of marriage, at the time of childbirth, there may be only one wife, and she may pass away. And when the child is young, the father may get married to another woman, and she may raise the child. So there also you can expect this combination. It basically means raising somebody else's child. It could also mean Dattaputra Yoga, which is adopting a child. The next verse 15 is Lagnadashtamage Chandre Chandradashtamage Gurau Papagrahayarjute Drushte Parajato Nasamsaya. Okay. Okay. Lagnad Ashtamage Chandre means, yes, go ahead. Lagnat means from Lagna. Ashtamage means, Ashtama means 8. Ashtamage means gone into the 8th. Who? Chandra, moon. Moon is in the 8th house from Lagna. Chandrad Ashtamage Gurau. And moon is in, Jupiter is in 8th from moon. So, in other words, which house would Jupiter be? Jupiter be in 3rd house. So, moon in the 8th house and Jupiter in the 3rd house. Two planets in Manakaraka Sthana, both moon and Jupiter. Papagrahayar Yute Drushte. Papagrahay means by malefic planets. Drushte means, Yute means conjoined. Drushte means aspected. So, and moon is in the 8th house, Jupiter is in the 3rd house, and Papagrahayar Yute Drushte. Now the interesting thing is, he used Ekvachanam. Papagrahayar Yute Drushte. He used basically singular. He didn't use dual or plural. So he is talking about only one of them. Which one? Moon or Jupiter is not obvious. He said if moon is in the 8th from Lagna, if Jupiter is in the 8th from moon, and if he is aspected or conjoined by malefic. So because he used singular case, and latest he talked about was Jupiter, first moon and then Jupiter, it is logical to apply it to Jupiter. So my interpretation is moon in the 8th house and Jupiter in the 3rd afflicted by malefic, either conjoined or aspected by malefic planets. Pardon me?
Also, Jupiter makes more logical sense because
he is the Karaka for children. He is the Putra Karaka. He is the significator of children. Very good point. So Jupiter makes more sense. Excellent. And as a matter of fact, forget moon, irrespective of where moon is. If Jupiter is in the 3rd house afflicted by malefic, that itself is a bad indication as far as children are concerned. It shows some problem with respect to children. Exactly what, you have to dig into the other details, but that itself is not a good combination. So in this case, again the result is Parajato Nasamsaya, means have to raise somebody else's children, basically cannot bear children. And realize that it is and, it's not or. All these three conditions, moon in the 8th, Jupiter in the 3rd, Jupiter afflicted by malefics, all the three are basically inclusive conditions. It's and, this and that and that. The next verse is,
I get something, some different opinion on this too. Between combining these two verses, the previous one and this.
Yeah.
This one, Parajato makes more sense to me, at least I am interpreting like that. That is Dattaputra Yoga in this case, and an affair with somebody else in the previous case, more so because Saturn was involved.
Not necessarily. Saturn in the 5th house. See, we are not talking about the 7th house here. We are only talking about the 5th house.
No, because only with Saturn comes the adultery.
Right, but Saturn is not just the planet of adultery. Saturn is also the planet of depletion. He is the planet of rejecting something, basically, not giving you something. He is the planet of drying things. He is a very lean planet. So he likes to deplete things. So if Saturn is in the 5th house, it can basically cause some lack of children. You don't get a child and you have to get somebody else. And also as far as raising somebody else's children, taking adoption also, Saturn is a very important karaka. So you can't say that it implies adultery. It is just one of the possibilities. It's not the only possibility in both the cases. On the other hand, if the combination is relating to the 7th house, if Saturn, Rahu, etc. are involved, maybe you can talk about adoption, but we are not talking about that here. We are restricting to the 5th house. The next verse is,
but what you are trying to say, this adoption will be different from the previous adoption.
possible.
Rahu, Saturn causing adoption and Jupiter causing adoption.
Right, but the thing is, they are not necessarily different. In one case, Saturn, the planet of depletion, is afflicting the 5th house. In other case, the karaka of 5th house, Jupiter, one who brings it about, he is basically in Manakarka sthana. He is very weak, and he is afflicted by malefics. Saturn and Rahu could be one of those malefics. Obviously, malefics are covered there. So malefics are, and the thing is, if you ask me, oh, actually, that's the other point. I'm glad you brought it up. Here, the affliction, is it from natural malefics or functional malefics? What do you think? He said papa. He didn't say krura. Krura grahair yute drushte. He said papa grahai. So it is functional malefics, not natural malefics. Functional malefics. The next verse is पुत्रस्थानाधिपे सोचे लग्नाद् वाद्वित्रिकोणगे गुरुणा संयुते दृष्टे पुत्रभाग्यमुपैति सः. पुत्रस्थानाधिपे स्वोचे means Putrasthanadhipa. Who is Putrasthanadhipa? The Lord of the 5th house. Svocha means he is in his exaltation sign. So he is very strong. Lagnadva Tvitrigonage. Lagnatva. Va means R. So this is basically an exclusive condition. Not exclusive, but this or that condition. Could be both also. But doesn't have to be both at the same time. Lagnadva, R from Lagna, Dvitrikonage means Dvitrikonage. Dvi means second. Second or trines. It's not just trines. So the 5th Lord is either exalted or in the 2nd house, 5th house and 11th house. He is in one of those houses. Guruna samyute drushte. Guruna samyute drushte means either samyute means conjoined or yukte means drushte means aspected. So either conjoined or aspected by Jupiter. Putra bhagyam upayati saha means he will be fortunate with respect to children. So after giving a couple of bad combinations, he is giving good combinations. So the combination is the 5th Lord is in 2nd house or 5th Lord is in 5th house itself, or 5th Lord is in 9th house, or 5th Lord is in Lagna. These are the 1, 2, 5 and 9. He should be in one of these 4 houses. Or exalted alternately. This is something that you can expect. I mean, you can see in some charts. 5th Lord being exalted is not really a rare thing. The only additional thing is Jupiter aspecting or conjoining. So this is something that you can find in some charts. The next verse is verse 17. Trichatuh papa samyukte trichatuh papa samyukte sute soumya vivarjite. Sute se nicha rasisthe nicha sanstho bhavechushu. Okay. Trichatuh papa samyukte sute means Trichatuh papa samyukte means 3 or 4. 3 means 3, Chatuh means 4, Papa means malefic planets, natural, not natural, functional malefic. So 3 or 4 malefics, Samyukte means conjoined by them. Who? Sute, the fifth house. So fifth house is occupied by 3 or 4 malefics. Soumya Vivarjite. You know what? The actual word says Soumya Vivarjite, means Soumya Avivarjite. That means malefic is not there. Sorry, Vivarjita means malefic is not there. Avivarjita means there is a malefic. And if you look at the result is a bad result. You are saying literal Soumya means natural benefit. Right. So if you literally take the way the verse is given here, it means 3 or 4 functional malefics should be in the fifth house, and there should be some benefic also. It doesn't make any sense. It has to be no benefics there. So I am pretty sure this is a typo, or this is a mistake in the verse. It's not Soumya Vivarjite but Soumya Vivarjite. There is no dirgha there. So that means Sute Soumya Vivarjite means the fifth house does not contain any benefics. So there have to be 3 or 4 malefics without any relief from a benefic who also joins them. So it should be just a gang of bad guys, no benefics. And if one of those 3 or 4 functional malefics happens to be a natural benefic, that's basically excluded. That's not good enough. So it has to be all natural malefics as well as functional malefics. 3 or 4. Pardon? 3 or 4 functional malefics and also no natural benefics there, which means all those functional malefics also have to be natural malefics. Right? So for example, let me give an example. Suppose Virgo is the Lagna. And let's say Saturn, Rahu and Mars are in the fifth house. Mars is the 8th lord, 3rd and 8th lord, he is a malefic. Saturn is the 5th and 6th lord, he is between neutral and malefic. Rahu is the 6th lord, he is malefic. So Saturn, Rahu and Mars being in the 5th house for Virgo Lagna basically causes this combination. Right? Though Mars is exalted. He is not talking about exaltation and debilitation here. In general, functional malefics being in any house is bad for that house, particularly for the 5th house. Sute se nicha rasisthe, and on top of it there is another condition. The 5th law should be debilitated. So 5th house has functional malefics who don't happen to be natural benefics, and there is no natural benefic there, and the 5th lord is debilitated. Then Nicha Samstho it says, but it's actually Nicha Samstho, it's again typo. Nicha Samstho Bhave Shusho means the child he will have bad character and he will be moving with bad people. He will have a debilitated character. Basically, it's not a desirable child. Child will be ill behaved, and as a result they will be suffering to the parents. So the thing is, if there are malefics afflicting the 5th house, it could either be not getting children, not getting a child, having to adopt, etc. On the other hand, it could also be having a child who basically gives trouble, who's problematic. The next verse, verse 18. Putrasthanam gate jive tadishe bhrugusam yute dvatrinche chatrayastrinse vatsare putra sambhavah. Putrasthanam gate jive means no. Putrasthanam gate jiva means no. Yes. Jiva is Jupiter. Putrasthanam gate jive. Jupiter is in the 5th house. Tadishe bhrugu samyute. Tadishe means the lord of that house, 5th house, bhrugu samyute. He is with Venus. So 5th house contains Jupiter and 5th lord is with Venus. Can you guess whether the result is going to be positive or negative?
Very positive.
Very positive, because you are dealing with 2 benefits, 2 natural benefits with respect to 5th house, and also Karaka is covered. So it has to be a very good combination. The result is Dvatrim che jatra yastrim she vatsare putra sambhavah. The result is in the 32nd or 33rd year there is a child. 32nd or 33rd year of the person, there is childbirth. I think these have to do with the natural years. 32 and 33, I believe, are the natural years of Venus, based on the Naisargika Dasha scheme. So he is basically saying child is born during Venus influence period. But then you could generalize this, and you could say that it doesn't have to be the 32nd or 33rd year when Venus influence is strong in the chart.
But,
Venus Dasha, Antardasha.
what is so positive about that combination? Because just to say it's not
Yeah. Actually, the result attributed here is not a great result. It's just a timing related. This is a timing related combination. But the thing is, you can expect not only the child may be born in the 32nd or 33rd year, or generalizing it when Venus Antardasha or something is running. But in addition, the person is lucky with respect to children. The next verse is verse 19. Sute she kendra bhavasthe karakena samanvite shatrimche trimche dabde cha putrotpattim vinirdishet. Okay. Sute she kendra bhavasthe means the fifth lord is in a quadrant. The fifth lord is in a quadrant. Shatrimche karakena samanvite. Who is the karaka for children? He is with Jupiter. The fifth lord is in a kendra along with Jupiter. Shatrimche trinchadabdecha putrotpattim vinirdishet. Either in the 30th year or 36th year, the childbirth happens. 36th year, 30th year, I don't remember whose natural year it is, but 36th year is Jupiter's natural year. So he is basically saying during Jupiter's natural year there can be childbirth. Lagnat bhagyakate jive जीवाद भाग्यगते भृगौ लग्नेशे भृगु युक्ते वा चत्वारिंशे सुतं वदेत. Okay. This is too specific. Lagnat bhagyagate jive. If Jupiter is in the 9th house of fortune, jivad bhagyagate bhrugau, and Venus is in the 9th house from Jupiter, which means Venus is in the 5th house. So Venus in 5th and Jupiter in 9th house. Or what is the other thing? Lagneshe bhruguyukteva. Lagneshe bhruguyukteva means the Lagna Lord is with Venus. Then the result is Chatvarimshe Sutam Vadet, means in the 40th year there is a child born. So the combination is Jupiter in 9th and Lagna. No. Jupiter in 5th and Venus in Jupiter in 9th and Venus in 5th, or Venus with Lagna Lord. So Venus is either in the 5th house or somewhere else, but with Lagna Lord. Yeah. So Venus combinations put an R between them, and Jupiter combination is basically fixed. So Jupiter has to be in the 9th house. Then the person will get a child. Now the thing is, this is just one result. You should not take it very literally. You may find a combination like this and the person may get a child earlier also. What this is basically saying is, what is the 9th house? The house of fortune. So if Jupiter is in the 9th house, it can make the person dharmic. There are so many results that can be attributed. One of the results is, the person will be lucky with respect to children. Right? If somebody gets a child when he is 20 or 25, what's the big deal? It's not really great. On the other hand, if somebody doesn't have a child, and then when the person is reasonably old, then he gets a child in his 40s or something, then basically what it means is, people will look at him as a lucky person, right? So basically it shows some problem, but he is lucky, and then the problem goes away. So that way Jupiter being in the 9th house brings some fortune. For fortune to come, there has to be a problem, and then you see a manifestation of the fortune. And then the 5th house has Venus influence. 5th house has the Rajasic influence of Venus. Either the 5th house contains Venus or 5th Lord is with Venus. And Venus can sometimes delay the childbirth. He basically wants you to just enjoy your life instead of getting a child and getting the responsibility. So Venus can sometimes delay the childbirth.
Well, the child will be in 40th year, is it?
Yeah, the combination says 40th year. Childbirth in the 40th year. The next verse is, okay, we have another couple of verses, another 3 verses based on the which gives some timing, hints at timing. Putrasthanam gate rahau tadishe papa samyute nicha rasikato jivo dvatrimshe putramruchudah. Oh, this is actually reverse. Putrasthanam gate rahau means Rahu goes to the 5th house. Tadishe papa samyute. And the lord of the 5th house is with male fix. Nicha rasikato jivo, and Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. So Jupiter needs, the Karaka of children is debilitated. The Lord of the house of children is, he is with malefics, functional malefics, and Rahu is affecting the 5th house. Doesn't it show some shock relating to children? In general, Rahu in the 5th can show some kind of shock relating to children. And the fact that both the 5th Lord and the significator of children are also afflicted, they are incapable of basically rescuing the 5th house from the clutches of Rahu. So it means some setback, some shock relating to child is possible. And the result given is Dvatrimche Putra Mritvyudah. Means in the 32nd year there is Putra Mritvyudah, means there is death of child. The year you can take with a pinch of salt, but the thing is, this is not a good combination for the children. They can be, of course it may not be death in every case, but if you see 5th Lord afflicted by functional malefics, Jupiter in debility, and also Rahu afflicting the 5th house, you should have some concern, especially when Rahu's periods come, Dasha or Antardasha, or those of the afflicting planets, the functional malefics who afflict Saturn. When their Dashas and Antardashas come, if you see their and Rahu combination in both Dasha and Antardasha, you should basically be careful during such time.
It also mean a child who is dead.
Pardon me?
There could be a case where child is dead right away.
Stillbirth, basically being born as a dead child, basically stillbirth. That is also possible. Yes, that is also possible. But the combination is not restricted to that. It is death of a child. So child may be born earlier, but in the 32nd year there may be the tragedy of losing a child. Jivat, the next verse is Jivat panchamage pape lagnat panchamage picha. Jivat panchamage pape lagnat panchamage picha. Shatrimse chatrayastrimse chatvarimse sutakshayah. Okay. Jivat panchamage pape means
In 5th house, Jupiter in 5th house is
from Jupiter, malefic is in the 5th house. Jivat means from Jupiter, from Jiva. So taking Jupiter as Lagna, from the Jupiter, if you count, the 5th house is containing a malefic. And Lagnat Panchamage Picha. And also from Lagna also. So both the 5th house from both Lagna and Jupiter is afflicted by a functional malefic. Shatrimse Chatrayastrimse Chatvarimse Sudakshayah. Then 36th year Trayastrimse, 33rd year Chatvarimse, or 24th year. In one of those years they can be Sudakshayah, means loss of a child. So child loss can occur in the 24th, 33rd or 36th years in this particular combination. Again, exactly how he came up with these numbers, assuming that this is not added to Parasara's teachings, assuming that this was actually from Parasara, how he came up with these numbers is a mystery. There is no real answer. My guess is it may have to do with some Dasha calculations basically, or some natural years. The next verse is Lagne Manditama Yukte. Lagne Manditama Yukte. Lagne Manditama Yukte. You were saying
Years,
something?
right?
Yeah.
At that time, the year duration will be different from the current year.
Pardon me?
The years like 32nd, 36th,
Yeah.
say, that year calculation will be different from the current year calculation. At the time of writing this book,
Yeah, so you are asking, when you say 32nd year, Is it talking about 32nd solar year or 32nd Jovian year or 32nd lunar year?
Right.
If so, if lunar year based on star or based on Tithi?
In general, at this time of Parasara era,
Yeah.
The year he's talking about.
Yeah. In that era, what they were using. The thing is, they weren't actually using just one calendar. They had all these different calendars. They had solar calendars. They had multiple lunar calendars. They had various kinds of calendars. So the question that you ask is an interesting one. What is the definition of a year here? Is it talking about Jovian years or is it talking about solar year? It's not obvious. But the thing is, in my honest view, general combinations about the strength and weakness of fifth house work. But these combinations about child being born in a particular year or child being dead in a particular year, they don't necessarily work. So you don't have to be really so particular. If you get it in the ballpark, if you want to get it in the ballpark, Dasas are your best bet. Transits are your best bet. Sthiti Pravesh, as we have been doing, is your best bet, not really these combinations. So don't worry so much. But there are some techniques for counting the years based on the progressions, right? We can say, okay, in the 12th year or 24th year or 36th year, there is a possibility of so and so result happening. Like that, we gave some results earlier based on progressions, right? We have these 1 year progressions.
it's a sun's progression.
There we are talking about solar calendar. And for all you know, some of these combinations may be based on progressions. So you should basically, I suggest, if you want to use these, I suggest using the solar calendar. The next verse is Lagne Manditama Yukte Lagne Sheni Charashige षट्पञ्चाशत् तमेब्दे च पुत्र शोक समाकुलः. Okay. Lagne Mandi Tamayukte. Okay. Lagne means Lagna. Mandi Tamayukte. The word Tama is actually very curious there. Pardon me?
Does it mean tamasic?
Tama is usually used to refer to Rahu. And it could also mean a tamasic planet like Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, Mars, etc. Let's see how Santaram translates it. Should Mandi be in the ascendant while ascendant lord is in fall? Grief on account of loss of child in the age of 6. Okay, he just ignored the word Tama. He just translated it as Lagna has Mandi. So Lagne Mandi Yukte. He ignored the word Tama. Now the thing is, my take is the fact that Parasara used the word Tama, obviously he is referring to something, otherwise he won't use the word. He could have, for example, said Mandi Samayukte, for example, instead of Tamayukte. So it's probably Mandi in Lagna along with Mandi and Tama, let's say, means Rahu. It could be a malefic planet also, a tamasic planet also, but it is possibly Rahu. So one interpretation is Mandi and Rahu in Lagna, the other interpretation is Mandi and some tamasic planet like Saturn, Mars, Rahu in the Lagna. So Mandi is basically one must. The other one it is perhaps Rahu or perhaps one of Saturn, Mars, Rahu. If you take one interpretation, it is more general, more applicable. If you take another, it basically becomes narrowed. So I suggest taking the more general approach and see if you have any charts like that, where one of the tamasic planets occupies Lagna along with Mandi.
When you say that, usually we get number of cases, you have number of things there where you have Gurika and Mandi in Lagna.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is it just that combination enough?
No, that's not enough. According to what Santanam gave, that's enough. If Lagna Lord is in debility and Mandi is in Lagna, that is enough. But according to my interpretation, it's not enough. It has to be Mandi along with some malefic planet. Either Rahu or, one interpretation is Mandi and Rahu should be in Lagna. The other interpretation is Mandi along with either Saturn or Rahu or Mars.
We don't consider Gurika in that case.
We don't, like we talked about in the earlier class, there is a view that Gurika and Mandi are basically the same. Though there is a view that Gurika and Mandi are different, the view that I shared in the last class is basically Gurika and Mandi are one and the same. And I also said, instead of taking in the middle, basically take at the beginning of Saturn's portion. And also instead of taking in the 8th portion, it is Saturn's portion basically. So when you, we covered those verses in the last class, so listen to the audio. At the beginning of Saturn's portion, if you take the Lagna, that is basically the longitude of
the
Mandi. So if that Mandi happens to be in Lagna, and see, the thing is, it could be any malefic, but probably it is just Rahu. Okay, Tama, he is actually meaning only Rahu, that is my guess. Then 56th year, in the 56th year, there is sadness on account of children. Okay, we will cover the remaining verses in the next class. We will go to practicals now. We will just do some examples if you guys have any doubts. Let me restart the.
Usually when we talk about children like this,
Yeah.
It is, to which child is it talking about? Is it the first child, second child, third child, or it could be
One child. He's not talking about a specific child. He's talking about one child. And if you, pardon me?
or more?
Yeah, or more. But the thing is, if you really want to, these are all just specific general guidelines. If you want specific fortune about each child, the best bet is what we did earlier. Go to Saptamsya, go to D7, find the Lagna corresponding to that particular child, take the 5th Lord, 7th Lord, 9th Lord, etc. So that is basically the most valuable technique. Any questions on this, or in general any questions?
Before we take up an exam, I just want to share something from our last two classes. We discussed the marriage problem of that girl and the other boy.
Yeah.
I just want to share what I communicated to the gentleman.
Okay.
I said if the boy can pray to the remedies that we talked about,
Yeah.
Fasting on Thursday and then praying to Durga and then trying to do what we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
He can do that in case if you want to really save the marriage. He can do that, as well as the girl can do, I think, Lakshmi Narasimha, as well as fast on Wednesday and things like that.
Okay.
Both can do that and live together. And but the fact is, this boy is not really trustworthy. There is some kind of negativeness involved with it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a life of compromise.
Yeah.
At least until 2009, we don't see a great positive angle to this. There will be some quarrels and compromise that has to go with.
Mm-hmm.
If accepting those facts and they want to live together, do these methods and things can improve.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
and he communicated that the girl was interested in going back and staying with that boy.
Very good.
Then I said the best option is let both of them do these measures.
Excellent.
And live together with an expectation of a little compromise.
Yeah.
Then even if it breaks, then you have not lost.
Basically, as far as the career is concerned, they were thinking that he makes 50,000, but it turned out to be only 5,000. It was a lie. But the thing is, they should, as long as they realize that his career will be so for a while, with some
ups and downs.
Some up basically in the next couple of years, but in general for another 10-15 years it will basically be an average career. If they are happy with it, if they adjust to it, if they basically can live with it, then fine. But those measures, because there is a Markadasha going on for the marriage, those measures will still be helpful. Good.
That's exactly what I communicated.
Okay, good. Okay, any chart that you guys want to see? Any interesting chart that you have seen recently, or any chart that was confusing, any chart that you want to share?
I haven't looked at, but I have one chart there. The boy is very spiritual and
Okay.
is a Kali Upasaka.
Okay.
So we can see whether that kind of makes sense.
Okay, what is the
There is P Kalyan. P Kalyan. Just look at P.
P Kalyan.
Right.
This one? P dot Kalyan. Okay.
P dot.
Okay. The data is 1973 February 2nd 3:05 p.m. Indian Standard Time, 78 degrees 28 minutes east, 17 degrees 23 minutes north. So this is the chart of a spiritual person, very highly spiritual person who is a Kali sadhaka, Kali worshipper. Now, what do you want to see? I mean,
Because the chart, when I looked at it, 8th house was very glaring.
yeah. Oh boy.
So that kind of interest that he also has a lot of occult experiences and
No wonder. Yeah.
Did you see that he is born in Amavasya Tithi?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he is born in Amavasya Tithi. He has Pravrajya Yoga. You see, Pravrajya Yoga he has combination that makes one an ascetic. And such a person, even if the person is married, he will basically be like a sannyasi. He will have the spirit of a sannyasi basically, very, very detached.
Ketu is in Lagna.
And Ketu is in Lagna. Ketu is in Lagna. What does it mean? Ketu is the planet of spirituality. He is the Mokshakaraka. So in general, if Ketu is in Lagna, either the person is very eccentric, very crazy, or he is spiritual, or both. Spiritual people can also be really crazy. So one of the two. And he has, if you look at the planets, there are 6 planets in Moksha Trikonahas. Saturn in the 12th, Moon, Venus, Mercury, Sun and Jupiter, 5 planets in the 8th. So basically 6 planets out of 9 are in Moksha Trikonahas, 4, 8 and 12. 8 and 12 are really, really dominant. So this is the chart. Looking at the Rashi chart, you can say this is the chart of somebody who basically wants moksha, who doesn't want to pursue anything else. It's a very powerful chart. But the thing is, it could also be, just looking at the Rashi chart, could also be the chart of somebody who's wretched, who's very unlucky, who can't do anything in life. Because the 8th house is not only the house of spiritual sadhana, it is also the house of misfortune, of fall, great fall, etc. Troubles, hardships, incurable diseases. It could be those also.
So how do we know which one that's going to be?
Right, how do we know? That is why we have all these divisional charts that we've been learning.
D6 and we are
So the thing is, if we suspect by the fact that 8th house is so dominant, so prominent, and Ketu is in Lagna, if you suspect that this is a spiritual person, go to Navamsa, go to Vimshamsa. First see Navamsa. How is Navamsa? Who are the planets in trines? Because planets in trines show the main ability of the person, the main skill of the person, the main attitude of the person, right? The blessings with which the person is born. Who are in trines in Navamsa? Assuming that this is accurate. Who are in trines? Ketu is in trines. What would that show? What are the main abilities of the person? He is either good in mathematics, because Ketu, one of the things shown by Ketu is mathematics, or in operating small, pardon me? Not necessarily. Ketu doesn't show speech, Mercury and Jupiter. But the thing is, Ketu in 2nd house will give a very clear speech. That is a different combination. But Ketu has nothing to, he is not the Karaka for speech. So, what are the other things he can show? He can be good in mathematics, he can be good in abstract thinking, he can be good in, he can be skilled in operating small instruments, very small instruments, not huge machinery, which is Rahu. Ketu is very small machinery basically. Small watches are opening up.
Lord, right? 12th Lord is in trine.
Yeah, he is the 12th Lord in trine.
So it could be that he is want to give up something.
Yeah, that is true. But you are jumping too fast. Now, and also Ketu is spirituality, moksha. So basically, spirituality can also be the strength. And like he pointed out, Ketu is the 12th Lord of basically losing self. 12th house is the house of losing things and also losing self. And moksha is nothing but losing yourself completely. As long as you have an ego that I, so and so, you are not there, you are not liberated. Any identity, self-identity is basically, it's a bondage. You think I am so and so, Narasimha Rao, I am an astrologer. Okay, you will remain that astrologer, and based on that you will have another birth, you don't get moksha. You think, or even not this life, in the past life, suppose some sadhu comes and tells you, oh, in the last life you were Vivekananda, or you were so and so person. You think, oh, in the past life I was this. Again, that's just a bondage. So based on that thought, there are certain things that you have to do in the future. And it's just as long as there is some identity, it is just a bondage. So moksha or any spiritual progress has to involve effacing your personality, effacing your ego, basically cutting down the ego slowly. So ego, what shows your ego? Lagna, that is your self, your concept of self. So the 12th house from Lagna is very important for moksha. It is the key to liberation. So Ketu is the 12th Lord here, and of course he is in Lagna in the Rashi chart showing a spiritual person. So Rashi and Navamsa seem to show that he's a spiritual person. But let us go to the. Oh, by the way, apart from trines, you can also look at 7th house. Sun is in the 7th house and he is aspecting Lagna. He is the 9th lord. So the thing is, 9th lord aspecting Lagna and Sun. What kind of skill will Sun show? Some kind of managerial skill, administrative skill. So this person, he may be totally detached to everything. He may not want to do. He may not want to have to do anything with any material things. He may want to just go to a jungle and do sadhana. But he will have some good administrative. Pardon me?
He may be dragged into it.
Whether he is dragged or not, we don't know yet. But he will have a skill for it. That's all you can say from Navamsa. You can't say whether he will be dragged into it. Look at Dasamsa to see what you are dragged into. Dasamsa and Vimshamsa. Vimshamsa is your religious and spiritual experiences, and Dasamsa is your overall contribution to the world. What you do, how you use your free will in this world, what you do in the world, what contributions you make, what is your career, what are your other activities, non-professional activities. So all those are from the Dasamsa. So unless you see that, you can't say whether he will be dragged. But the thing is, he will have a knack for getting things done. He will be a
The desire of the inner self, because seventh house is the house of desire and
yes.
dealing with the inner self.
Yes, there may be some desire from long back, basically, of being a good administrator. That is also a valid thing to say. As a matter of fact, Navamsa shows various capabilities of your inner self, and certain those capabilities come to you because you had a desire. Based on what all the good deeds that you did in the past life, certain things that you desired, you wanted to do, the skills related to those things will be given to you in this life. So Navamsa is the chart, not only the chart of your skills, but it is the chart of your inner self. What your inner self, what agendas your inner self has, that is all shown by Navamsa.
Also, I see that his bhagya is brought by his spouse.
His bhagya is blocked by his spouse. Why do you say that?
Because ninth lord son is in
Yeah.
7th house. And
Yeah.
7th house is spouse.
Yeah.
So
Why do you say blocked though? Why can't you say
spouse is bringing the
right? In general, if the 9th lord is in the 7th house, marriage can bring fortune to the person. Right. That is a good conclusion. Now let's go to the key chart.
Is it 9th lord in 7th house or is it A9 in 7th house?
Pardon me?
Is it A9 in 7th house to say that, or is it 9th lord in 7th house?
A9 in 7th is even better because you are talking about tangible fortune.
Marriage brings them.
So if the A9 is in, let's say, 7th house, when the marriage occurs, there is a tangible evidence of some fortune. A9 is a tangible article that shows fortune, that reflects on somebody's fortune. So A9 is more important. But even if the 9th lord is in 7th house, shows some fortune after marriage. It is a good combination.
before that we should see that whether it's possibility of the marriage or not.
Yeah, we have to see. That is a very good
We
point.
cannot do the-
So he is saying, before all that, you have to see what is the possibility of marriage. So we'll see if there is interest in marriage, we'll discuss marriage. Pardon me? He got married. So we know that he got married. And again, whether there is a chance of marriage, when he got married, we can go into that later. But let's quickly jump to Vimshamsa. We wanted to see whether he is a spiritual person. Pardon me?
2-3 times he stopped you to go to do his job.
Yeah. So let's see the Vimshamsa. Is there anything interesting about the Vimshamsa?
Yes, Lagna has Saturn. Though Saturn is in Madnakarasana, but he is in the own house,
Yeah.
retrograde.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
he gives
One second. Before we proceed further, Lagna and Vimshamsa chart changes.
1 minute later.
It changes if the birth time is 5.5 minutes back, or if it is 1 minute 2 seconds later. So if we just add 1 minute 2 seconds to the time, which is 3:5, if we just make it 3:6:2, 3 hours 6 minutes 2 seconds, that's enough to take it to Aquarius. So maybe Sagittarius is not a likelihood,
Aquarius.
but maybe Aquarius is a possibility. So we have to basically we have to consider both Capricorn and Aquarius. We don't know for a fact which is the right one. Okay. Now, what do we know about his spiritual life?
He done various sadhanas, different people spiritually, and he is only continuing in sadhana basically.
Okay. Does he have any siddhis?
He has siddhis, at least the extent of healing other people.
Okay, that is a siddhi. Okay. You said he is attached to Kali.
He is attached to, I think he does more Kali sadhana.
He does more Kali sadhana. Any other sadhanas he prominently does apart from
Three more, but I don't know which ones.
Okay. But he did multiple sadhanas. Okay. Okay. That's all good information. Now let us see what's going on. First, man, just Vimshotri, right? No conditional dasa applies. So we'll just, what is the dasa he is running right now? He is in Rahu dasa. Okay. Rahu dasa. Jupiter dasa is going to come soon. Okay. Now, do you guys think that Capricorn Vimshamsa is more accurate or Aquarius?
Capricorn kind of makes sense because Saturn and Lagna.
Okay, so what does it mean?
Some kind of aesthetic nature plus.
Okay, his point. If Capricorn is the Lagna in D20, which shows spirituality, it shows some kind of aesthetic nature. Okay, my counterpoint. There is Prabhupada Yoga to start with in the Rashi chart. And Saturn is with, Moon is in Saturn sign. And Saturn is having Rashi Drishti and Moon is with Moon is in the 8th.
Exchange between Venus and Saturn. Also have Parivartana between Venus and Saturn.
Okay, yeah, that's true. There is a Parivartana between Venus and Saturn. So Venus will act as though he is Saturn. So Moon is basically Saturn. So Aquarius. If you are talking who's rich, who's poor, who doesn't have any money, who doesn't have any resources. Pardon me? It's discipline. When you are talking about the chart of spiritual pursuit, to pursue his spiritual progress, he can be very disciplined. Saturn can go through any trouble, any hardship. And he wants all of us to be like that. And if we are not like that, when his turn comes to influence your life, he will give shocks so that you learn how to be hardworking and disciplined. So that is Saturnine nature. So even with Aquarius Lagna, the Saturnine nature is very well explained. Moreover, the Lagna Lord Saturn is in the 12th house of giving up, of basically depletion. Desire from the past life to do something. Fifth house is very important for the sadhana that you do. It is basically mantra sthana, the mantras and various practices that you use. For that, fifth house is the house. And of course 10th house is the house of karma, spiritual karma. This is the chart of sadhana, but the karma that you do as a part of your sadhana, which is basically helping other people in with your spiritual insights, all that is seen from 5th and 10th houses. And their Lord Venus, assuming Capricorn is the Lagna, their Lord Venus is in Manakarka Sthana. The fact that, though I know that Sun and Jupiter, 5th and 10th house is in Manakarka Sthana, does it make sense with what we know, which is he did so many different mantras, so many sadhanas, and he achieved something with them, and he is helping people.
But
does it make a lot of sense?
It can make sense. Of course, the Lord is in 6th house, but
The dispositor is in 6th house.
Yeah.
Dispositor is in 6th house.
Yeah.
Madhyakarasthana in this case, but Rahu Ketu being there in the 10th house will show that his karmic activity is involving a lot of spiritual nature.
Oh yeah. That is
So
fine.
from
That is
this
fine.
angle,
That from that fine it is that point of view it is fine.
and maybe
That is fine. That is
their
fine.
Lord being in 6th, maybe even giving him the
But
ability
still,
to overcome the
if a planet is in Manakarka Sthana, it's not a desirable thing. So if such a key planet is in Manakarka Sthana, that itself is capable of reducing this Vinshamsa in its level, right? On the other hand, and also what kind of sadhanas would you expect for this person? Jupiter and Sun basically show, Jupiter and Sun can show Shiva, and also Jupiter and Sun, they are basically Vedic planets. Jupiter shows Vedic knowledge, and Sun also is a very dharmic planet. So if there is a strong Sun-Jupiter influence on the fifth house, he is a Shiva worshipper, a great knowledgeable person in Vedanta, a great Vedanti, learned in Vedas. That is what I would have expected. And using that path, using the Vedic path for spiritual progress. On the other hand, if you take Aquarius Lagna, now the 10th house point that you mentioned, as far as spiritual karma is concerned, Rahu Ketu influence, that is still there. Rahu and Ketu have an Argala, a strong Argala on the 10th house, right?
And they are happen to be 9th house, and Venus now becomes a Yokaraka in 5th house.
Venus becomes a Yokaraka in the 5th house. Earlier, with Capricorn Lagna, Jupiter and Sun, the 8th Lord, who is a neutral planet, 3rd and 12th Lord, a functional malefic. So basically, functional malefics are afflicting. So it is not good for being lucky with respect to mantra and with respect to upasana. On the other hand, if you take this Lagna now, Aquarius, Yogakaraka Venus is in the 5th house. Is it good for mantra sadhana? It is excellent. And moreover, how is the 8th house now? 8th house contains moon. 6th Lord in 8th house, Viparita Rajoga, and Parivartana between 6th and 8th Lord. There is a Viparita Rajoga, and in general, I have seen other cases where there is some link to the 8th house, some link of moon to the 8th house. It is extremely good for occult experiences. Link of moon to 8th house or 8th Lord is very, or Saturn. Saturn is the other Karaka of the 8th house. That is very conducive to occult experiences. And actually, one second, let me finish the thought. Moon is in Manakarka Sthana. Is it good? If moon is in Manakarka Sthana, is it good? The whole goal of spiritual progress is to kill the mind. Mind is the nonsensical thing that is blocking you from actually realizing who. It is that which totally limits you. So killing of the mind, the ultimate spiritual experience, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is nothing but mind completely dead. Mind doesn't exist anymore. That is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Or Savikalpa Samadhi is that where mind exists but in a very exalted state. In a very of ego that mind clings on to, I, this body, that concept. That is a very debilitating thing, spiritually speaking. So moon being in Manakarka Sthana is not at all bad. And moreover, 8th house is the important house for occult experiences. There have to be some on the 8th house for somebody to have mystical experiences. So here moon is in the 8th house, the 8th Lord is basically having a Parivartana with the moon, and the 6th Lord is in 8th house. 6th house is the house of Siddhis. Sadhana that you are doing, the tapas that you are doing, and the 11th from there, fruits of all the tapas that in this universe. from the Markandeya Purana. The Rahasyam. There are three Rahasyas, Pradhanika, Prakritikam, Vaikritikam, and those Rahasyas. Basically, those are the secrets of her birth. By her, I don't mean Lakshmi or Durga or somebody. It's basically Narayani. Durga Saptasati, even though it is known as Durga Saptasati these days, is basically a prayer. Be carefully, it's basically Narayani. And who's Narayana? He is just Mahapurusha. Vishnu is a limited form of Narayana. Vishnu, Shiva and Brahma, these are limited aspects who personify Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Brahma is creation, Vishnu is sustaining, Shiva is destruction. But the thing is, if you trace to the source, if you trace all these to the source, what you get is Narayana. Some people call him Sadashiva, some people call him something else. But basically the root, the Paramapurusha, if you trace Vishnu to the Paramapurusha, it is basically Narayana. That is why if you read Vishnu, you are talking about how the and you are praising how he is running the universe if you read Vishnu Suktam. On the other hand, if you read Narayan Suktam, if you understand what it means, you are talking Sahari, Sandra, Sokta, Paramaswarat. You are saying Sabrahma, Sasiva, Sahari, Sandra, Sokta, Paramaswarat. You are saying he is Brahma, he is Hari, he is Rudra, he is everybody. He is Sachiva, he is Shiva. So you are talking about, you are not talking about Vishnu as the form, the limited form who runs the universe. You are talking about the form from whom Vishnu, Hari, Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma all emanated, all forms emanated. So you are talking about a form of Nirguna Brahman. And Narayani, what is Narayani? Narayani is the energy of that form. So if you take the phase when from the Nirguna Brahman, basically no manifestation, no attributes, from that form which filled the whole universe, suddenly something moved in that, something started to happen, and various deities came from that form. If you are talking about the form which is nearly formless, which is the root of all other limited forms, a nearly infinite form. No form is really infinite. All forms are finite. The only thing infinite is the formless. But if you are talking about the nearly infinite form, nearly formless form, that is Narayana. And Narayani basically is the energy of that form. From that form, how all these devatas were created. From this form, how the whole universe came about, including Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. That is Narayani. That energy behind that creation, the energy behind that manifestation. That is you are saying Narayani, Narayani. So basically, you call her Chandi, you call her Durga, you call her by whatever your name you. Just one. When the gods are praying to that one, they are using the word Narayani. So it's actually Durga, Narayani is the root energy. Anyway, coming back to the actual point. So the Rahasyam, how she was created, and there he says, first there was nothing, and then there was Mahalakshmi, who was not of any guna, who did not have any guna, and then she had all the three gunas, and then she divided herself into three. She divided that Mahalakshmi who had all the three gunas, divided herself into one Mahalakshmi who had Sattva, one Mahakali who had Tamoguna, and one Mahasaraswati who was Rajoguna. And then they created two pairs, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva and their consorts, so that they could create the world and run the world, etc. So that is how it is described. So if you are talking about that Mahalakshmi, you are actually not talking about just Sattva, Rajas or Tamas. You are talking about the confluence of all the gunas. So Venus, even though it is talking about the normal, the Sattvic Lakshmi, that could be, and that form of Lakshmi, there is hardly is the root. You can. It is limited. The advice that you can give has to basically come from your heart. When you yourself have done something, heart becomes purer. The advice that you give comes from your heart. And when that is the case, your brain basically, when it is being run by your heart, it gives the right advice. Otherwise, the advice that we give is highly fallible. You may go to Ramakrishna Paramahansa and tell him, pray to so-and-so Devata. Kali is the one who he was one with. Of course, he himself did so many sadhanas. He experienced oneness with so many Devatas. You just cannot imagine. No other saint, no other great yogi could have achieved what Ramakrishna Paramahansa achieved. There are so many who achieved the highest, but the thing is, he achieved the highest in so many different paths. He was into Jnana Yoga, just contemplation, like a Vedanti. He achieved with that. He was into Bhakti Yoga, shedding tears for being one with a particular Devata, and achieved oneness with that Devata, with Kali, with Sri Rama, with Sri Krishna, with Hanuman, so many Devatas. Even Jesus Christ, Allah. He did sadhanas belonging to various. He was in Karma Yoga. He basically served the humanity and forgot himself in the service. Basically, he identified with the service. He lost his own self-identification of Ramakrishna in the karma. And he did Raj Yoga also. He did various Hatha Yoga, especially in his early years. So he basically is who demonstrated to the world that through all these paths you can reach God. There are other great saints who took one path and achieved God with that particular path. But he is one who showed the pinnacle of experience with all the paths. That is why the great saints of his time who met him, they say that he is just an avatara. He is an avatara of God himself. Otherwise, limited people, whether he is a rishi or somebody else, a lower level yogi in the previous lives, when he takes birth and achieves, his achievement has a limitation. And the thing is, always talk about samadhi. Samadhi itself is the pinnacle of experience for many people. Even Savikalpa Samadhi is the pinnacle of experience for many people. And this gentleman, he achieved Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And Totapuri, who was his guru, he did sadhana for his whole life to reach Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And this guy, he said, oh, forget Kali. Actually, there is one root, Brahman. You have to experience that which is basically no experience. That is the thing. Forget Kali, he told him. And then, within a few days, he basically reached Nirvikalpa Samadhi under Totapuri's guidance. And Totapuri himself was amazed. So this guy could reach Nirvikalpa Samadhi in just a few days. He was so attached to Kali. For him, there was nothing higher than Kali. And ironically, he took Kali's permission to reach Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He prayed to her. He said, please allow me. She said, fine. And then he reached Nirvikalpa. And not only Nirvikalpa, your mind is easier. I'm not saying everybody can do it. It's relatively easier. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is relatively easier. Even higher is Sahaja Samadhi, which is your mind is working. You see the whole world. You see people sitting in front of you. You see the inner nature of all these as waves in Brahman. That perception, which is basically you don't see any duality, but you are able to live in the dual world, operate in the dual world. That Sahaja Samadhi is something that only a handful can experience. Even great saints cannot experience Sahaja Samadhi. People like Sai Baba, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, they were exceptions. And this person, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he not only experienced Sahaja Samadhi, he could induce Sahaja Samadhi in somebody, Vivekananda, just by touching him. Vivekananda was in a state of Sahaja Samadhi for 15 days, merely by the touch of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. So you are talking about a really about soul. He's not just somebody who was born and did lot of sadhanas and achieved. He is Shiva himself or Krishna himself. Otherwise, it's simply impossible. So anyway, where did we come from? Yeah. And you could have suggested, actually, I can show you later. If you use all the techniques that are at our disposal, we couldn't have told him Kali, but it was Kali for him. Anyway.
But again, those suggestions we gave at the physical level, like somebody having some carrier, like something like Lakshmi in that form.
Right. If you are Devata, and if you see Venus, say Lakshmi. Still, it is Lakshmi. Venus is some form of whose results will Mandi give? He is basically Saturn's son. He is like Devata, we said Saturn shows Kali. And add to it, the 12th house contains Saturn. The 5th house is the house of Upasana that you do, but the Moksha is basically 12th house. So there is a strong Saturnine influence. If you detect the Saturnine influence, Saturn is in the 12th house in both Rasi and Vimshamsa. So if you detect the Saturnine influence, you will give more weightage to the influence of Mandi on Venus. On top of it, there is Mars, Mercury, Rahu and Ketu. Rahu aspecting Venus, and Mercury and Mars having Argala on Venus. But one Mercury is very interesting here. Why? He has Argala on the 5th house, right? In the 2nd house, from the 2nd house he has Dhanargala. The 2nd house Argala on 5th house. Moreover, he is the Lord of the house. If the Lord of the house has Argala on it, that's a very strong influence. So there is a strong mercurial influence also on the 5th house. The sadhanas he does, the upasana he does, the mantras he does have an influence of Mercury. What kind of influence Mercury shows? What are the results? Rajasic one thing, but what else? What can you say? Which god, specific to which god?
Vishnu.
You can say Vishnu, but another result of Mercury is everything. Mercury is basically indecisive. So you will see anybody who does lot of sadhanas, you will see some strong influence of Mercury on their house of sadhana, because Mercury is the jack of all trades. I am not saying this person is a jack of all trades. He may have mastered several of those, but the thing is, the intention to try various things typically comes from Mercury. He is the karaka for that. So that is why I was asking you whether he did any other sadhanas. If there is a strong mercurial influence, you can expect the person to do many sadhanas. He is not happy just doing one sadhana. On the other hand, some other planet, for example, Jupiter or somebody, or even somebody like Ketu, they would have made the person master one particular thing. Like I said earlier, Ramakrishna Paramhansa used to say, you don't have to dig. If you want water, dig in one place, dig a well in one place. Find the right place, dig it, keep digging, you will find water. If you dig in many places, you may not find water. Or maybe you will find water but it's dirty. If you dig deeper, maybe it will become purer. You will get sweeter water maybe. So the thing is, instead of doing many sadhanas, why do you need multiple gods, multiple mantras? Of course, you want your obstacles to go away, you pray to Ganesha. Or you want prosperity in your career, maybe you pray to Vishnu, or maybe a particular Parana Devata in your chart. Maybe you want marriage, you pray to a particular Devata based on your chart, or maybe to Shiva and Parvati. You can do various sadhanas for specific limited purposes. But spirituality is not really those limited purposes. Spirituality is spiritual growth, how you evolve as a spiritual being. That has nothing to do with all these limited things. So this is about how you find yourself, your true nature. So for that, you don't need many mantras, many gods. You just stick to one devata, one mantra, enough, you are made. If you can achieve with any one mantra, you are made. That is the goal of spiritual sadhana. But distraction, the rajas of wanting to do many things, wanting to experience everything, that comes from Mercury. So anyway, coming back to here, the fact that Mercury is the 5th lord, apart from looking at the planet in the 5th house, you have to also look at the influences on the 5th, the aspects on the 5th house and also 5th lord. So 5th lord, he shows, also 5th house itself contains a Rajasic planet, Venus. So there is a lot of Rajas, passion relating to sadhana. So there is interest in mastering various sadhanas.
And can I say that, of course, A2 may not mean much here in the D20, but I think
Actually, this is not A2, this is A1, AL.
where
If you change, let us change the, see, we wanted to change the time, right?
it can become
Where is,
Top, right?
oh, here, I forgot. Change it to the next sign. So we change the time from 3.5 to 3.6, 2.92, whatever. It came up with some stupid fraction. Basically, it does the next delta. So let me just make it 3. Oops. Yeah. Okay. So it is Aquarius Lagna now. So Arudha Lagna contains Venus. So what was your point?
Would he have made, his leaving come through that?
It's not living. AL is your image.
When A2 was there, it possibly meant, but I missed it.
Yeah, okay, okay. Now the thing is,
Two things
what does AL having Saturn, Venus and Mandi in it show?
It looks like possibly.
AL in D20. What is AL? Arudha Lagna.
His image, his spiritual image is out.
Arudha Lagna is the image in that particular area of life. So his image as far as spiritual pursuit is concerned, people look at him as a Venus with Mandi. Mandi shows basically Saturnine result. So it's kind of like Venus with Saturn. So what does it mean? Mandi or Saturn shows somebody who is very disciplined and austere. So the image of austerity will be projected, and Venus will give the image of a big yogi. Venus is a Rajasic Brahmin, and especially in spiritual matters, he is somebody with a lot of power. He will. On the other hand, if it is Jupiter, it is a more sattvic image. But with Venus, this person may be seen as basically somebody with lot of siddhis, lot of abilities. That is the kind of image he will have.
Yeah, that's how that person looks like. Short stature, that's how he looks like.
Short stature you cannot see from this. That is from Rashi Arudha Lagna. Leo is the Arudha Lagna in Rashi. And Leo people usually are tall but a little, not fat but a little stout, not very thin. But all that is from the Rashi chart. Physical attributes are from Rashi chart. D20, this is image only from spiritual activities. What kind of spiritual activities or spiritual stature people imagine when they see the person?
I want to know, would this person have had any spiritual?
So yeah, we'll come to that. My guess is more than Capricorn Lagna. It is Aquarius Lagna in D20. So we will go with that, and I will just save a note so that there is no confusion. Original time 3:05 p.m. Oops. Change based on D20. Okay. Will this person have any spiritual experiences?
Out of body experiences. Where will I see that?
Out of body experiences. Okay. How do you see out of body experiences from?
Is spiritual experience much different than out of body experience?
For me?
Is spiritual experience much different than out of body experience?
Well, out of body experiences are a kind of spiritual experience. Right? I mean, the thing is, when you are talking about spirituality, body is just one limited, the default self-identification. Body is nothing but a default self-identification, because when the soul starts existence as an independent entity, it needs something to cling on to, I. So for that concept of I, this body is there. It is just, don't put too much importance on body when you are talking about spiritual experience. The whole purpose of spiritual experience is to rise above body, to find something higher to identify with, and then to find the highest to experience with, to identify with, and finally to lose all identification, which is samadhi. So that is the whole goal of sadhana. So out of body experience is obviously one of the initial experiences of that. So how do you see out of body experiences? Pardon me? Yeah? A8 in D20, yes. 8th house. So look at the influences on 8th house and also A8. Who are the karakas for out of body experiences? Okay. You guys consult each other and settle down on one planet. You guys can help.
I would go with
Ketu, right? Rahu and Ketu are the
people who will take you beyond.
Yeah. They are the ones who will give you mystical experiences beyond the body. And what is the house for such experiences? 8th house, reaching out for the unknown, 8th house. So A8 is important, 8th house is important, and also in my view, this is just my view, based on the charts, based on several charts that I have seen with people who had out of body experiences, Kundalini awakening, Kundalini rise, etc. So I have seen several charts, and based on it, my conclusion is the Arudha Pada of the 8th house from Ketu counted in reverse is an important parameter. Ketu basically is the Karaka, so we can see the houses, apart from Lagna, we can see the houses from Karaka also, right? 8th house from Lagna can show in general all the tapas that you are doing, all the sadhana you are doing. When you are talking about experience, you could basically take Ketu instead. So Ketu 8th house, but I am counting backwards because all counting from Rahu and Ketu is backwards. So for example, here to apply that principle, if you count backwards from Ketu, the 8th house is Pisces, right? Or you count 6th house forward. So it is basically Pisces.
That means it basically take A2.
Yeah, basically take A2. Where is A2?
The 6th house.
In the 6th house. And does it have any links to the 8th house, etc.? It has the 8th lord in it. There is 8th lord. So when there is a link between A8 from Ketu, reckoned in reverse, and the 8th lord of Rashi chart, the indications are basically strong. And also who are aspecting it? See, Karakas are Rahu and Ketu, I said. Is Rahu aspecting it? Does Rahu have a desire to give A8? Does he have Graha Drishti on it? Graha Drishti shows desire of a planet to give some result. Pardon me? Yeah, he's aspecting it. Pardon me?
Yes, Argala from 4th house.
Yeah. Actually, 4th house Argala is reverse. It's not Argala. He has a drishti, he has a graha drishti, he has a desire to influence it. So there is a Rahu influence. So that is one thing. And what else? The very fact that 8th house is very prominent in the Rashi chart.
Right.
For all occult experiences, 8th house in Rashi chart is very, very important.
Do we see them in some D20 or Rashi chart?
Pardon me?
Do we see that kind of analysis of A8?
Rashi is basically like the trigger, but actual experiences you see from Vimshamsa only. Vimshamsa is like I said earlier, a prominent 8th house in Vimshamsa can show a mystic, or it can show somebody who is always anxious, always troubled in life. Yeah. Not just searching for unknown. 8th house is not just searching for unknown, but
that or the other?
it's basically troubles, facing troubles the whole life. You worry about where food will come from next day. It's an unknown, and you are searching for that unknown. That is also the 8th house only. Or you want to trace your source. Who am I? Why am I in this world? Why am I being born? What are we doing? What are we all up to? That is also 8th house. All this is 8th house. So 8th house on the positive side can be spiritual sadhana and tapascharya. On the negative side it can be just troubles, diseases, worries, being wretched in general. So, but the thing is, a prominent 8th house in the Rashi chart along with a prominent 8th house and also a strong Vimshamsa can basically show that. Okay. And especially Rahu Ketu Antardasha is a very, very important Antardasha. 2001-2002 is very important for his sadhana. Of course, it is already over, but if it is not over, you can tell the person, this is a very key period in your life. You should do a lot of sadhanas geared towards that time. You could have told him, but it's over now. But what is the Antardasha running right now?
All of them are very interesting, like Rahu Ketu, Rahu Venus is good, Rahu Sun is good, Mars is good, Moon is good.
Yeah.
All houses have got good
But when it comes to spiritual experiences, which are the most important ones?
experiences, Rahu Ketu.
Rahu Mercury, right? The start is Rahu Mercury because he is the 8th lord. So Rahu Mercury is the first one that I would say is important. Of course, Rahu Saturn always two malefics. When the Antardasha comes, they can give various shocks, jolts basically, because some out of body experiences, they can just jolt you up. They can be jolts. So Rahu Saturn, Rahu Mercury, Rahu Ketu, and then Rahu Venus. More than experiences, he will give more sadhana. And Rahu Sun, Rahu again Rahu Moon. So I will say Rahu Saturn to Rahu Ketu, and again Rahu Moon. These are the important ones as far as experiences are concerned. But Rahu Mars can take the cake. Pardon me? Is he Atmakarka? I thought Moon was Atmakarka. I don't think Mars is Atmakarka. Mars is, oh, you are right. Mars is Atmakarka. So Mars is Atmakarka and he is debilitated. Oh my God.
He is also in Gandanta. Mars is in Gandanta.
Oh yeah.
Very border.
Mars is in Gandanta. Mars is in very deep Gandanta.
So
Hmm.
precisely one question that
Yeah.
this gentleman asked me was,
So my feeling, yeah, go ahead. 12th house. The bhoga falls in the 12th house. Okay.
he doesn't really care. His opinion was he doesn't care how the planets are placed, what effects they are giving,
Yeah.
but he wants to manipulate them to be in a positive sense to do something good.
Yeah.
How can I do that? That's the question.
Positive purpose.
Manipulate for what purpose?
Maybe towards sadhana, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Towards sadhana, and I'm thinking there is a goal.
Yeah.
Because this person didn't look to me like a person trying to cheat somebody and make money and go in the materialistic path.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing in that path he wants to benefit from the planet placement. How do we do that?
Right. We'll do that. 1 second. Let me just look at the Mars is Atmakaraka. The 12th from him contains Venus. But Rahu is very strong. The thing is, Venus, Rahu is very strong in this chart. If you see, Venus is in the 12th house from Atmakaraka. I am looking at the Moksha planet, Ishta Devata. So from Atmakaraka, the 12th house in Navamsa contains Venus. But its Lord is Rahu. And there is a Parivartana between Venus and Rahu. So Venus is basically like Rahu. And also, because Lord is Rahu, I will actually choose Rahu more than Venus. And even in the Vimshamsa chart, even though he is not in the 5th house, Rahu is aspecting the 5th house, and he is in the 9th house of Devatasthana. So my guess is Rahu is the real god for him, real deity. And Rahu can show Durga. One combination for Rahu is Durga. The other one, if he wants to do Dasyamahavidya sadhana, the other really key planet, the deity is Chinnamasta. So if he is already in the Kali sadhana, he can consider Chinnamasta. Chinnamasta will be very, very beneficial for him. In case he hasn't already done. For all you know, he may have already done. But he may have stopped because he wants to try something else. If he just sticks to Chinnamasta, in my view, either Durga or probably Chinnamasta. Yeah, I think my gut feeling is Chinnamasta is the right for him. And this person is somebody who can do that kind of sadhana. Okay. And the thing is, now he is about to enter Rahu Mars Antardasha. What do you guys think of it? What do you guys think of that sadhana? I mean, that Antardasha.
He should definitely propitiate Mars to not get a big blow because of Gandanta.
Okay. Okay, Rahu is in Gandanta, point number 1. Where is, Mars. Mars is in Gandanta, point number 1. And where is the Bhoga? And also he is with Mercury. So Mars and Mercury will exchange the results in the Vimshamsa. So whose results will Mercury give? I mean, whose results will Mars give? Mercury results. So 5th and 8th house. So Upasana and also Tapascharya. So Mars gives very strong Tapascharya, and also being a malefic planet, being the planet of willpower, basically fighting, a strong fight. Mars loves a fight. So he gives very intense sadhana. So in my view, this Mars will either give an intense sadhana or give some big blow physically. So he doesn't really need to propitiate Mars. In my view, he just needs to do some really rigorous sadhana, which puts his body at risk, which puts his body basically in a vulnerable position. He needs to forget everything, forget about his body, do some really intense and severe sadhana, probably of Chinnamasta. So my feeling is, if he does that, that will basically be beneficial in this Mars Antardasha. In my view, this is actually a very important Antardasha, in my view, compared to Rahu Saturn, Rahu Mercury, Rahu Ketu, and even Rahu Moon. My view, Rahu Mars is the most important, because it's the Antardasha of Atmakaraka, and it's basically, he's in the 6th house. A malefic in the 6th house will show, it's a good placement for Mars, right? A malefic in the 6th house shows overcoming the obstacles. He has obstacles, he has all these siddhis, etc., which are blocking him. And Mercury, being a Rajasic planet, can give an attachment to them. And to get rid of those, basically, you need a malefic planet in the 6th to overcome the weaknesses, overcome the obstacles. So in my feeling, Rahu is a very key planet. And where is the Bhoga? If you take Rahu Mars, from Rahu Mars is in the 10th house. So if you take 10th from there, where is it? 3rd house. 3rd house, that to Aries. Aries is fire. It's a Martian sign. So the Bhoga is in Aries in the 3rd house. So there is strong initiative, extremely strong resolve during this Antardasha. So this is an Antardasha when she should do some serious sadhana, very heavy sadhana. Now the thing is, pardon me?
Can you see
Yeah, we can see. Actually, I was going to see Narayan Dasha Vimshamsha, but we'll see Drugdasha also. That's a good point you brought up. How is this guy's Drugdasha? This gentleman's Drugdasha. He is running. Oh God! What Dasha is he running? He is finished with it, but he ran from 1998 February till 2006 February. He ran Capricorn Dasha. Of course, Drugdasha is a Dasha you interpret in the Rasi chart. And who are in Capricorn in the Rasi chart? All the 5 planets, the 8th house. So would you say this is a defining? Of course. If this person came to you earlier, you would have said this 98 to 2006 will be a life altering Antardasha. From the age 25 till the age 33 or something. So this is a life altering Antardasha. So he is basically done with the biggest Dasha of his life, the most important Dasha. Now what is the Dasha he is running? He is running Scorpio Dasha. How is Scorpio Dasha? What do you guys think? How is Scorpio Dasha? Scorpio contains Atmakaraka, Mars. And all these planets are aspecting it. And moreover, Saturn, if you take Bhratakaraka Saturn is in the 7th house. What does it mean? Bhratakaraka has a Grahadrishti. So there is a chance. Normally we see the Rasi Drishti, but Grahadrishti can also give the result basically. It can basically shows at least, I don't know whether the Guru will come or not, that I cannot tell because it's only Grahadrishti, but there is a desire to meet Guru during this life. Or there is a Guru who has a desire to influence him basically. So there is a chance that he will meet some Guru.
When does that happen usually? You said what is Bhratakaraka to do with this?
Bhratakaraka is the Guru, right? Bhratakaraka is the spiritual master. And when he aspects the Drugdasha sign, that is when Guru comes. So for all you know, a Guru may have already come in the Capricorn.
It might be coming in a Mars Dasa.
But
It's running now.
it's running now.
No, Mars Dasa is coming in, not running.
No, Mars Dasha is running now.
Oh, running, okay.
Yeah, it started last year.
Okay.
So, but one thing is, it contains Atmakaraka. So there will be very serious sadhana, and it is Mars in one sign. So this is also confirming. In general, during 2006 to 2012, he will do intense sadhanas. So this is somebody who can do really intense sadhanas. Now, quickly I want to check one thing. I said earlier that this can be somebody with good administrative skill, right? There may be a natural administrative skill. But if you see the Dashamsa, what do you see in the Dashamsa? Sun is in the 7th house. That's not really great. Jupiter is in Lagna. So basically a learned person, a Guru kind of person. And Jupiter is in Anantamsa. What does Anantamsa show? We said earlier. Ananta is spiritual enlightenment. So that is good. So basically his nature as far as karma in the world is concerned is that of a Guru basically. Somebody who teaches people. And pardon me? Yeah. Let's not analyze the whole thing. But we don't really see him any Rajyogas that make him basically start a big organization. For example, if you take somebody like Vivekananda, Ramakrishna was just an ascetic. But if you take Vivekananda, he established something big. We don't really see anything like that here. On the other hand, we see the 8th Lord Mercury in the 10th Lord Mercury and Lagna Lord in the 8th house along with 8th Lord Mars, very strong Mars. So this is a chart of basically giving up things and doing sadhana. He is basically a sadhaka rather than somebody who does things and. Pardon me? Not just materialistic. Vivekananda was not materialistic. He was a sannyasi, but he established Ramakrishna mission, right? All these guys, Brahmananda, Vivekananda, they did that. They were sannyasis. They weren't materialistic at all. But I'm not talking about materialism. I'm talking about Rajyogas, which enable the person to do something big for the rest of the world. So I don't see that. So forget the point I mentioned earlier about being an administrator. Probably he is not really meant to be an administrator, but he will be a sadhaka. Now quickly let's see Narayan Dasa of Vimshamsa. Narayan Dasa of Vimshamsa that is running right now is that of Capricorn. Earlier it was Aquarius, now it is Capricorn. Is it a conducive Dasa for spiritual growth? For me? By earlier I meant the previous Dasa. Yeah. Is Capricorn 2001 to 2013 a good Dasa for spiritual growth? Of course, it is the 12th house, containing a very strong Saturn. But when will Capricorn give its results? The 12th house of moksha. When will it give its results? 12th house of liberation. In the last 1/3. So 2009 to 2013 is the period of some level of liberation. And when will Saturn give the results? The Lord in the middle 1/3. And the aspectors will give the results in the first 1/3. So right now it is the results of Saturn that are being given. So he will be very disciplined, he can go through any austerities. So all that is what you should expect now. This is a period of austerities. How is the next Dasa? Sagittarius. How is Sagittarius? What would you say? This is the 11th house of gains. So some fruits of sadhana will be achieved then. For me? Yeah, Jupiter is with A8. So let's not go to the details, but let us say the next few years are conducive to a lot of sadhana. Without expecting anything in return, just keep doing sadhana. And especially in the Mars period, there is either a danger of physical harm or a very intense sadhana without worrying about physicality, without worrying about body. Basically some body defying sadhana. Some sadhana that puts body through intense suffering. That is actually advisable for him during that period. What else can you say? I'm just curious. Okay. Anyway, what else? You guys want to look at anything else?
What did you figure out?
Nothing. I was just curious. Yeah. We don't know for sure. I just wanted to see planetary combination. So, what else do you want to? Is there anything that you want to see in the next 2-3 minutes?
This is just a general discussion.
Yeah.
Because these charts we don't usually get them.
Yeah. But this is a chart of somebody really very spiritual. But the thing is, there is some rajas involved, and usually rajas is a good thing because it helps you move up. But the thing is, it is also a bad thing because it's an obstruction to sadhana. The goal is basically to lose yourself. And as long as you think I am here, I want to do this, I want to do that, even that desire is basically a big obstruction.
As I talked to that person, he didn't look like that I-ness in him. I didn't feel it that way.
Okay. I'm not at all surprised.
So how can he overcome that I-ness to become?
See, the thing is, the I-ness in that regular sense that you see in people, that you don't see, because like basically I want to do this, I want to initiate 100 people into doing this particular sadhana, I want to spread this, I want to do that. That kind may not be there, but I want to get moksha, I need to get moksha, I need to be liberated, I want to reach Kali, I want to see Kali, I want to see her, I want to do this. That will be there. That is what I am talking about. Because if you look at the Vimshamsa, when I look at the Vimshamsa, when I look at the influences on the 5th house, etc., 5th house and 8th house, there is a strong Rajasic influence. So basically, as far as spirituality is concerned, if you look at the Rashi chart, 8th house is so prominent. So this is, and also Pravrajya Yoga is there. So this is somebody, a renunciate. But the thing is, even for a renunciate who doesn't care about clothes, money, establishing something big, etc., the desire to basically liberate oneself, the desire, what I am trying to say is the desire is too strong, that the desire itself is basically stopping the desire from fructifying. But the thing is, if you say that sounds good on paper, but actually to understand it or to appreciate it is not easy for that person. For somebody else it may be. So that person just has to do lot of sadhana, then only it will come. He is meant to do lot of severe sadhana.
When we said he can, the Mars Dasa, he can have a big blow because of Gandanta, he can do excellent spiritual sadhana.
Yeah.
So how do we decide, or how can we say which path is going to take that way? Apart from the rest of the chart being chart of an ascetic, we can say he can do more sadhana, or will he have...
Because it's a chart of an ascetic, who said do more sadhana, and also if you look at Vimshamsha, he has a link with the A8, he has a link with A8 from Ketu, he has a link with the 8th house. So based on all those combinations,
but isn't it good to suggest...
But the thing is, if it is a normal person, let's say Mars is in Gandanta, you would definitely say pray to Hanuman, pray to Kartikeya, so that you don't get harmed. Even to this person you can say there is a chance of a harm, physical harm, worship Kartikeya or worship Hanuman. You could suggest that to this person also. Probably Kartikeya. Yeah.
Mercury with Mars.
Just intuitively, basically Mars is in Scorpio. In the Rashi chart, he is in Scorpio, and Scorpio is basically Scorpion, right? So you are talking about snakes, scorpions, etc. So rather than Hanuman, Subramanya basically gels better. So as far as physical harm thing is concerned, praying to Kartikeya may be a little better than Hanuman. So you can suggest praying to Kartikeya, but the thing is, if he really does a lot of sadhana, for all you know, there may be some physical harm, but it may be good for him, for all you know, because the planet in Gandanta is Atmakarka Mars, and he is...
20 seconds.
Pardon me?
It is reasonably fast moving and it's 20 seconds close.
Right. So there can be some physical blow, but it may actually be an opening, spiritually speaking. So whether you want to make the suggestion or not is up to you. But either he can pray to Kartikeya or just forget about body. Who cares about the body? The goal of our spiritual sadhana is not to care about body. You have, for example, if you take Aghoris, they just cut their body parts, put it in fire. You just harm yourself, because if you think that if you read all kind of nice books, spend hours every day doing sadhana, if you tell yourself I'm not body, and you are actually able to experience that you are not the body, but suppose at the time you are dying, because the thought at the time you are dying decides your future life in a very significant way. So at that time you think, oh my God, I'm hurting. What's the point in all the sadhana? All your life sadhana will go useless. So the goal of all sadhana is to get such control over your mind that any given point of time, your mind can be thinking whatever you want it to, or not thinking anything at all, in which case, if that happens at the time of death, you basically got moksha. So that is the goal. So you can either pray to your God, pray to your favorite God, and wait for that moment, so that God gives you good thoughts when you are passing away, or you could basically practice that death many times over. So if you take Aghoris, people with strong Mars, Rahu, Saturn kind of influences in Rashi and Vimshamsha, they will put themselves to harm. So if something happens to him, what a big deal is it? If you are talking about spiritual progress, then why do we even have to care about body? As long as you care about body and suffering to it, it's only limiting your spiritual progress. Especially for somebody who has strong tamasic influences, he has to basically go through. If not Aghori, he's kind of like an Aghori. Some kind of Aghori kind of sadhanas are good for him. Okay, yeah. Some Aghoris are, actually you can suggest that. Actually in Rahu, Mars, Antardasha, if you can find an Aghori Guru or do some kind of Aghori sadhanas for Channamasta or Kali or whoever, it can be actually very beneficial.
And one just a share thought for about 1 minute is, usually several people ask me when I suggest different things, normally people, not this chart.
Yeah.
They ask about, you are saying sometimes you will say Hanuman or Lakshmi, or how are these different people you going to help? Why not just do one thing, or why different forms?
Yeah. See, this is what I was saying earlier. If you want to just reach your source, take any devata, you are all set. Because all devatas, if you trace their source, they are basically Nirguna Brahman. So if you say, for example, Atharvashishram, we are saying in the Atharvashishram, you are saying Tvameva Keva. Actually before that. No, the one before that. Tvam Brahma, no, Tvam Gunatrayadeva, Satrayadeva, then Dehatrayadeva, Garatrayadeva, Tam, Tvam Brahma, Tvam Vishnu, Tvam Rudras, Tvam Indras, Tvam Agnis, Tvam Vayus, Tvam Suryas, Tvam Chandramas, Tvam, you are saying. So to Ganapati you are saying, you are Surya, you are Chandra, you are Brahma, you are Vishnu, you are Agni. If you read Surya Upanishad, that also says, you are Brahma, you are Vishnu, you are Rudra. If you read Narayana Suktam, it says, Sa Brahma, Sasiva, Sahari, Sandra, Soksha, Parmana, Swarat. So all, if you read most high prayers, Vedic prayers of Devatas. If you read Puranas, lower level prayers, maybe things are different. But if you read the highest prayers, Vedic prayers of various Devatas, all of them say, Shiva, Vishnu, Surya, Ganapati, Durga, you take anybody, the prayer says, you are Brahma, you are Vishnu, you are Shiva, you are everybody. So some people may think it's all lies. It's like when I go to Seshu, I say, oh, you are the greatest. And I go to him, I say, oh, Ramakrishna Rao, you are the greatest. I'm praising everybody. Some people may think that it is in that spirit. It's not. It is basically, it is written by Rishis who experienced that Devata at the nearly Nirguna form, where it will seem as though all gods emanate from that form. That can happen with any Devata. You can reach the source with any particular Devata and it will seem as though all gods are actually coming from him. You can actually experience that. So, if your goal is to actually reach Nirguna Brahman or reach your source, take any Devata. Surya, Ganesha, Shiva, Vishnu, doesn't matter. But, whatever form you take, whatever formless one you take, the thing is, the formless one actually doesn't have a name. You give a name based on the path that you take. Directly reaching the formless is difficult. So you start with Vishnu or you start with Shiva and then go way up. You say, oh Shiva, give me this, give me knowledge, and then say Shiva, actually Shiva, you are everybody. So you basically trace your way up with that particular god so that you reach your own source. In that case, whether you start with Shiva or Vishnu or Durga, you reach the same thing. But if you are talking about forms, they have specific roles in the world. The Nirguna Brahman manifested as different entities and each entity has a particular role. Vishnu has a particular role, Shiva has a particular role, Durga has a particular role. And if you ask a particular Devata to give something else, it may not happen. You understand what I am saying? So when you are asking for material things, when you are, rather than material things, when you are asking for limited things, it is better to choose the right Devata for that. Either based on their nature or based on the chart. So different Devatas have different limited purposes. But when you are asking for the unlimited, which is self-realization, Atma Jnana, it doesn't matter which Devata you pick. But still, even there, we pick a particular Devata who is more conducive based on a chart because you did a particular Devata sadhana in the past life. If you did a similar sadhana, it is basically, it will be productive more easily. But theoretically, you can pick any Devata and do sadhana. Sooner or later, you will get moksha. By sooner or later, I don't mean today or tomorrow. I mean in the next million lives or 2 million lives. So I interrupted you. You were going to say something.
Yeah, same thing. I usually tell them for a limited purposes. My concept was like,
if somebody wants to get married, wants to get a child, wants to get a promotion in the job, wants to get a job, he's out of job, wants to get a job, or has some problems with boss at the work and he wants to overcome them.
for
all these things.
there are blocks in the people because of the nadis and these
Yeah.
different mantras help in resonating that
Those
particular
specific
people
nadis with the specific energies.
energies which will help him come out of that problem to
Come out of the problem. But eventually, if you want to
that is for a spiritual purpose.
reach the highest, then it doesn't really matter.
But for limited sources, this is how I explain saying this is how possible they work.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, with that we will end for today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.